Hi everyone. Today we'll be discussing about the transitioning from QAM to IP and the challenges that come with it. Nice to meet you. I'm Yoann Hinard. I'm Chief Operation Officer at Witbe. I'm based out of New York, and I'm pleased to be your host today in order to discuss about the challenges of QAM to IP transitioning. So, one of the first things that we see in the market is that traditional cable TV is not having a lot of traction. A lot of users are leaving, and it's important to keep track of that and to make sure that TV is still something that has a lot of attention. And at the same time, we see that fast channels are rising, and even Disney announced some linear TV that comes from non-linear content because people like to just hit the play button and not have to select between contents. So there is attention, there is traction, but at the same time, there is less subscribers on the traditional cable TV. So what we see that the main competition is mostly the streaming set-top boxes with applications like YouTube TV or the fast channels. So the competition is not so much linear against non-linear, but it's linear in a different way. And in order to improve and to keep this user, this is what MVPD are fighting against. And once you get your device in the home of the users and it stays on HDMI 1, this is where you win the viewership. And you must be very careful of not losing that HDMI 1 because now more and more people have smart TV. So it's just one click of a button, you get to the home screen and you get Samsung TV Plus, for example, and you have lost this person in the best case for the whole evening, but it's probable that they won't come over again. So it's very important to have a service which is equivalent to the competition. And the competition, if you are Verizon, it's not Comcast, it will be mostly something else, the native application on the smart TV. So how can that be done? You have different services, so the native traditional services like linear TV, guide, recording. Obviously, all of those must work. But for example, one that has been mastered for a long time on QAM was dynamic ad insertion. So just to give you some examples, here we have some real video issues that we've captured from the field. So we are using what we call a robot, a Witbox that is sitting behind a real device. So what you can see here are captures that have been taken with real devices, with Fire TV. So on the middle here, what you can see is the ad that has been inserted managed to get the Fire TV to crash completely. So it's not only like rebuffering or black screen, but it can, you do not lose just the impression, you lose the user. And if it's going that way, most probably they will have switch over. So even though here it's on Fire TV, trust me, it's also happening on the MVPD set-top boxes. And another item is that users will not stay just on the linear TV. So even though it's not the MVPD's responsibility to make sure that Netflix or Disney Plus are working fine on their own set-top box, it's as important for the end user as it is for their own service. And it's because as a user, you will switch between linear TV, between on-demand content, and you are used to having a Netflix account or a Disney Plus account or a TV Plus account. And for that, if you have to switch over to a different device, then again, it's less likely that you will press again HDMI 1 on your remote control. It's likely that you will stay on it. it's likely that you will get recommendation from your other application. So you have lost this viewer when it comes to that. So making sure that the third-party application is working properly is really key in getting a service that is matching up against the competition. So let's do a quiz. Here, this is a record done on an Apple TV, and here this one is a record done on a Comcast set-top box. And we will be launching the TV Plus application on both at the same time. So who do you think will be faster? TV Plus, so obviously you know that TV Plus is done by Apple. TV Plus on the Apple TV or TV Plus on the Comcast box? So, what about you? What do you think? Which one will be faster? Oh, let's try and see. So, we sent it at the exact same moment. Starting faster. Same time, it's a tie. So here, yeah, and it lets you know that yes, Comcast did take care of that. It's not by surprise. It's a work that they've been doing with Apple in order to make their application work properly on their own set-top box. Because they care about the TV Plus experience on their set-top box, even though it's not directly generating revenue. It's not generating revenue, they do not get subscription for it, but if it's not working, they will lose subscription, and for that, but also for their all the syndication partner, because the Comcast box has been used by a lot of different syndication partners. But that's not always the case. For example, here, the recording I'm going to show you is the Netflix application that is launched on an Android TV set-top box. So here you have the live. Live is working fine. You press the Netflix button. You don't sign in. You don't load. You go back to live, and the live is broken. So just launching the Netflix application in this situation managed to break the service. So MVPD do not only need to make sure that the third-party application is working, but they need also to understand that sometimes they can break their own service. And we have seen that on different environments for different customers. So third-party application, even if they are not directly under your responsibility, it's very interesting to test them as well, because it's important to have them working, and it's important to make sure that they do not break your own service. So if you want to know why and what caused it, we can discuss it after. Another very big challenge about all this amount of content that you can get on your devices is content discoverability. Because when you publish, when you provide your own service, you want your content to be provided to the customer by default. So let's have a look at this one. So here, when we go to the on-demand menu, you can see the new releases to rent or buy. So if we go on this one, Dune Part 2, you can see the different ways to watch, so the different applications for which you can rent or buy. So here it's on the DirecTV set-top box, and you can see that you can rent or buy Dune 2 directly from the DirecTV shop. That means that if you do that, most of the revenue of this rental will go to the set-top box, the owner of the set-top box. So in this case, DirecTV, but it could be the same for Comcast, Cox, Verizon, or any other MVPD. If they are using another service, it's not the same thing. If they go through TV Plus, if they go through YouTube, the revenue sharing model will be very different. And in order to get Dune Part 2 directly available here, they need to have commercial relationship for the right management. So there is an investment, there is a cost to get it here. And there is a revenue if people get it from here. So if they get it from somewhere else, it's a direct loss. So let's have a look and see how well it is referenced, because putting it on the on-demand menu is very easy. But is this the way users are using the application right now? So here, I'm using the voice remote control, search for Dune Part 2. It's thanks to the deep indexing on the different search engine. So here you can see this is Google Android TV. And yes, Dune Part 2, the one that was highlighted, is the same one that we've seen that is put in the front shop. So this one successfully done. Good. Now let's try something a bit different, because I want to see, I'm looking for Dune Part 2 trailer. Dune Part 2 trailer, no mention of DirecTV anymore. No mention of the owner. And I can have a deep link and I'm directly set to YouTube. Okay, it's working. Considering that the trailer is not on the other one, is it a bad choice for the user? I don't think so. But once you have seen the trailer, you are in the YouTube application. So if you're searching again for Dune Part 2, from here, it's not behaving the same way. Here, the one that we have as a first result is the one from YouTube. So the content was available from YouTube, but it was not exposed on the constant discovery. This one is the one from YouTube. So it will not be on your bill from your streaming provider, it will be on the bill from YouTube. And it's the same platform. So this kind of way of managing the content, it's the responsibility is completely different to what it used to be, because you are allowing access on the device to different applications. And it would be, if not done properly, which we have seen in the field, but obviously during this kind of presentation, I don't want to finger point to anyone. If not done properly, this would be the content that would be seen at first, and not the one that they paid for and that would get revenue for. So having your user being redirected to YouTube as a service provider who provide the device, it's an issue. Here, just because usually your device is connected to a smart TV, here this is on Samsung Smart TV. So what you can see is that you can either watch it on Apple TV. So TV Plus was not exposed on the other one, and even though it was available, and also YouTube and Vudu. So on Samsung, they are quite open in the way they reference the content. During my tests and recording to prepare this presentation, sometimes I had some troubles also making it work. And the exact same voice record that was used, because we mimic we send the voice record directly to the set-top box, so it's a real set-top box, real device, done automatically. The exact same recording was detected as "don't stop to trailer." So my colleagues made fun of me and said that it's because of my French accent. So I said, okay, let's do it. So they did it. They did it for another title. It's written open timer. So what was it? It did not ask the set-top box to set a timer. So who can guess? What was he looking for? Yes, Oppenheimer. You're right. Do you think the set-top box will know as well? Because let's say if you can work for YouTube as well. Yes, YouTube managed to find it, but not the native application, even though Oppenheimer is set in front. So I don't know how they did it, but they managed to know that if you're looking for Oppenheimer, users were clicking on Oppenheimer because this is what they meant to say, even though the voice control was not properly managing that. And here, this would be an example of if I personally would have looked for that particular content, I would have been redirected to YouTube and not to the native on-demand app. So all of this shows that the testing strategy has to be adapted when you're a service provider, because it used to be very, very straightforward. You had some specification, you had linear, then guide, then DVR, then cloud DVR, but it was progressively expanding, but not a lot of additional third party will mess up with your work. So it was very straightforward. And what we can see now is that the whole QA process has completely shifted. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you will end up having to manage with thousands of test cases, because if you want to, and obviously, as a service provider, if you're Cox or Comcast or Verizon, you don't want to check every single feature of Netflix, otherwise it's just exponential, and it will there is no business case around it. You won't spend hundreds of hours to test every possible function. So the QA testing need to adapt to so many features that you have to choose and you have to manage. And another thing which is challenging as well is that the operating system is also being updated. So Google will push on Android TV, Comcast will push on their LDK set-top box without always telling you. So you don't know when it's being updated. You don't know when the cloud APIs are being updated. So you don't know a lot. And so the way the testing has gone before, what we see is that when they replace and they move over from a traditional QA test bed, they used to have like 200 set-top boxes, 1,000 test cases. That was the default environment. And when they move over, either they are thinking to expand, but it will be exponential, or they have to think it in another way. So we help them to rethink the testing and to make sure that we focus on the most valuable tests. So for example, this one, just using the shortcuts on the remote control, making sure that you can launch YouTube, launch Netflix, launch Amazon Prime if you have the shortcut. Just cycling between the three, even without logging, is already a very, very good test. And the great thing that it costs zero to perform. It's extremely simple. So here, for example, we see everything I showed you. It was manual checks that I've done to perform this presentation, but we also have the automation to do that automatically. So here you see the type of voice control checking in order to, because voice control, depending on where you are coming from, is different. You have seen during the YouTube example, looking for the same content if you are at the home or in YouTube will behave differently on the box. So the same actions are conditional to where you are, and the expectation is different. Plus, you have different variances. Tune to CNN, watch CNN, go to CNN. All of this should work. And various languages. So it's the scale can be impressive, and it's good to have the choice in what you're doing. So that's why we started to provide these test packages to make sure that it's coming right out of the box and can have something meaningful from day one. And after, you have to adapt with the UI changes that are happening all the time. And that's why we put some AI in the automation to not have to record the different screens, the different pixels. The robots are behaving like users. They are looking at the screen and understanding what is a menu, what is the structure, how you can navigate in it, how you can go from A to B, and how you can use a different environment like this, the search panel. This is a pain to use as a human, but the robot is managing that pretty easily. Even though, for example, here between the space, you press 7, you go down, you press up again, you won't arrive at the same location. So it adapts automatically, recompute the mapping on the fly in order to reach the proper expectation. So if you want to know more about Witbe, you can come at the booth. We'll be happy to do a demonstration. And as this video will be available also online, feel free to contact us if you want to get more information about all these changes in the paradigm. I know it can feel a bit overwhelming, but we have seen that it's not more is not better in the term of QA testing. It's doing in a smarter way in order to verify that you can compete with your main competition, which is not your previous generation of set-top box, or sometimes not just the other service provider which sits on the side. It's really something totally different than what it used to be. Thank you, everyone.